So yesterday I talked about my first experience in a riot, and this was a Black Lives Matter riot. And that is how a lot of this Black Lives Matter and Antifa stuff has manifested as this sort of riot. Now, some people act like this is new. Well, this absolutely is not new. In fact, Huey Newton of the Black Panther Party definitely had something to say about this style of riot or protest, and he has a critique of it which is based in Leninism. You know, there's a reason why the Black Panther Party was not allowed to thrive. There's a reason why it was denounced as violent and they try to scare you away from it. This is why. This writing, Huey Newton, is why. This is The Correct Handling of a Revolution, July 20th, 1967. And he's saying stuff that I think every single person who has ever participated in or romanticized an Antifa riot or Black Lives Matter riot, every single person should read this article by Huey Newton, The Correct Handling of a Revolution. If you want to find text of it, you can search for old Huey P Newton reader.pdf, and it will come up as a PDF. You can read. He has lots of excellent writings in here, and this is one I wanted to fixate on today. The Correct Handling of a Revolution, July 20th, 1967. The black masses are handling the resistance incorrectly. When the brothers in East Oakland, having learned their resistance fighting from Watts, that is the Watts riots, amassed the people in the streets, threw bricks and Molotov cocktails to destroy property and create disruption. They were herded into a small area by the Gestapo police and immediately constrained by the brutal violence of the oppressors' storm troops. Although this matter of resistance is sporadic, short-lived, and costly, it has been transmitted across the country to all the ghettos of the black nation. The identity of the first man who threw a Molotov cocktail is not known by the masses, yet they respect and imitate his action. In the same way, the actions of the party will be imitated by the people if the people respect these activities. The primary job of the party is to provide leadership for the people. It must teach by words and actions the correct strategic methods of prolonged resistance. When the people learn that it is no longer advantageous for them to resist by going to the streets in large numbers, and when they see the advantage in the activities of the guerrilla warfare method, they will quickly follow this example. So I think that Huey Newton, he might have been a little bit ahead of things in advocating for guerrilla warfare, but the immediate thing he talks about next is basically just Leninism 101 directed at the black community. And again, I really think it's important to understand the importance of the party leadership, ideological leadership, rather than this sort of anarchistic method, which does not work. Again, you do either get kettled by police or it breaks up, or, you know, even if it does wreak a bunch of havoc, what is the actual result? All of the people living there then hate you. They then associate your political message and ideology with destruction, and they don't respect you. They don't want to do more of what you did. You might even regret what you did later when you get older. So, you know, Huey's on point here. But first, they must respect the party which is transmitting this message, right? You want to have a respectable party. You don't want to have your party look like a bunch of screaming clowns. You want to have a party that's respected by average, everyday people. You don't want a party full of weaklings going, oh, well, I think that this message or this word might be a little bit too extreme or intense. No, you want a party that's respected by the people. Okay? So first, the people must respect the party which is transmitting this message. When the vanguard group destroys the machinery of the oppressor by dealing with him in small groups of 3 and 4, and then escapes the might of the oppressor, the masses will be impressed and more likely to adhere to this correct strategy. So Huey Newton is still a little bit of an insurrectionist, but he believes in doing it in a more organized way. I'm not advocating for doing things the way that he's doing them, but I think that his critique is still very effective here. When the masses hear that a Gestapo policeman has been executed while sipping coffee at a counter and the revolutionary executioners fled without being traced, the masses will see the validity of this kind of resistance. I mean, think about this. Now, again, I am not advocating for this at all whatsoever, but think about this. Going into a bunch of neighborhoods, breaking shit and burning shit down, versus like a cop that kills somebody just being like assassinated. Which one do you think, like in theory, would be more effective? Anyway, it is not necessary to organize 30 million black people in primary groups of 2s and 3s, but it's important for the party to show the people how to stage a revolution. There are 3 ways one can learn: through study, observation, and experience. Here he's channeling Mao. Since the black community is composed basically of activists, observation of or participation in the activity are the principal ways the community learns. To learn by studying is good, but to learn by experience is better. Because the black community is not a reading community, it is very important that the vanguard group be essentially activists. Without this knowledge of the black community, a black revolution in racist America is impossible. The main function of the party is to awaken the people and teach them the strategic method of resisting a power structure which is prepared not only to combat with massive brutality the people's resistance, but to annihilate totally the black population. If it is learned by the power structure that black people have X number of guns in their possession, that information will not stimulate the power structure to prepare itself with guns. It is already prepared. The end result of this revolutionary education will be positive for black people in their resistance and negative for the power structure and its oppression, because the party always exemplifies revolutionary defiance. This is interesting. It's positive for black people in their resistance. So why is it that we see so much negativity on the left, telling the people who want to fight, telling the people who believe in things that they need to question their beliefs, that everybody is inherently guilty of wrongthink, and we all have to get in a circle and self-criticize over things like, you said a something which was interpreted as racist or sexist, and now you need to repent to the party. You said, why are we in these circles of guilt? You are guilty of a colonialist mentality. You said or did something which is reflective of colonialist, thinking, and now you need to repent. No. It is positive for not just black people, but for people. And positive for people means that, yes, self-criticism is a necessary thing. It's not just a green light, you do what you want to, but it is a positive thing. It is reinforcing people, and it is not imposing some type of structure on them, but rather it is enhancing and centralizing their already existing desires and needs. If the party does not make the people aware of the tools and methods of liberation, there will be no means by which the people can mobilize. The relationship between the vanguard party and the masses is a secondary relationship. The relationship among the members of the vanguard party is a primary relationship. If the party machinery is to be effective, it is important that the members of the party group maintain a face-to-face relationship with each other. It is impossible to put together functional party machinery or programs without this direct relationship. To minimize the danger of Uncle Tom informers and opportunists, the members of the vanguard group should be tested revolutionaries. The main purpose of the Vanguard Group should be to raise the consciousness of the masses through educational programs and other activities. The sleeping masses must be bombarded with the correct approach to struggle, and the party must use all means available to get this information across to the masses. In order to do so, the masses must know that the party exists. A Vanguard party is never underground in the beginning of its existence. That would limit its effectiveness in educational goals. How can you teach people if the people do not know and respect you? The party must exist above ground as long as the dog power structure will allow, and hopefully, when the party is forced to go underground, the party's message will already have been put across to the people. The Vanguard Party's activities on the surface will necessarily be short-lived. Thus, the party must make a tremendous impact upon the people before it is driven into secrecy. By that time, the people will know the party exists and will seek further information about its activities when it is driven underground. Many would-be revolutionaries work under the fallacious notion that the Vanguard Party should be a secret organization which the power structure knows nothing about, and that the masses know nothing about except for occasional letters that come to their homes by night. Underground parties cannot distribute leaflets announcing an underground meeting. Such contradictions and inconsistencies are not recognized by these so-called revolutionaries. I think Huey may be addressing the Weather Underground, a secret underground organization at the time, which claimed to be revolutionary, which also happened to have, kind of a few ties that were a little bit suspicious as well to, possibly to intelligence and other things. That this is true. What he's saying, this is true. We can't organize in secret, even if our message is one that could get us in danger. They are, in fact, afraid of the very danger that they are asking the people to confront. These so-called revolutionaries want the people to say what they themselves are afraid to say, to do what they themselves are afraid to do. That kind of revolutionary is a coward and a hypocrite. A true revolutionary realizes that if he is sincere, death is imminent. The things he is saying and doing are extremely dangerous. Without this realization, it is pointless to proceed as a revolutionary. If these imposters would investigate the history of revolution, they would see that the Vanguard Group always starts out above ground and is driven underground by the aggressor. The Cuban Revolution is an example. When Fidel Castro started to resist the butcher Batista and the American running dogs, he began by speaking publicly on the University of Havana campus. He was later driven to the hills. His impact upon the dispossessed people of Cuba was tremendous, and his teachings were received with much respect. When he went into hiding, the Cuban people searched him out, going to the hills to find him and his band of 12. Castro handled the revolutionary struggle correctly, and if the Chinese Revolution is investigated, it will be seen that the Communist Party operated quite openly in order to muster support from the masses. There are many more examples of successful revolutionary struggle from which one can learn the correct approach. The revolution in Kenya, the Algerian Revolution discussed in Fanon's Wretched of the Earth, the Russian Revolution, the works of Chairman Mao Zedong, and a host of others. Millions and millions of oppressed people may not know members of the Vanguard Party personally, but they will learn of its activities and its proper strategy for liberation through an indirect acquaintance provided by the mass media. But it is not enough to rely on the media of the power structure. It is of prime importance that the Vanguard Party develop its own communications organs, such as a newspaper, and at the same time provide strategic revolutionary art and destruction of the oppressor's machinery. For example, in Watts, the economy and property of the oppressor was destroyed to such an extent that no matter how the oppressor tried in his press to whitewash the activities of the Black Brothers, the real nature and cause of the activity was communicated to every black community. And no matter how the oppressor tried in his own media to distort and confuse the message of Brother Stokely Carmichael, black people all over the country understood it perfectly and welcomed it. So what he's saying is that when you do things, when you do things to get in the public eye, the press will smear you, they will cover you, they will lie about you, in their coverage, but people will still know what's going on, right? Now, I disagree with Huey Newton on these insurrectionary tactics. I think that this is actually a form of leftism, which is ahead of the current state of things. He's trying to figure out how things are going to be, how they're going to get in the future when the Vanguard Party does what it does. But, you know, I don't really think that we're at that point yet, and I don't even know if it's worthy of discussing these insurrectionary tactics, assassinations. And I also don't really understand what he means by destroying the machinery of the oppressor in these riots. But what I do believe is that this article, this document, is definitely a major step ahead in thinking for anybody who is in this sort of Antifa mentality. It definitely got me start thinking in a different way. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense teaches that in the final analysis, the guns, hand grenades, bazookas, and other equipment necessary for the defense must be supplied by the power structure. As exemplified by the Viet Cong, these weapons must be taken from the oppressor. Therefore, the greater the military preparation on the part of the oppressor, the greater the availability of weapons for black community. It is believed by some hypocrites that when the people are taught by the vanguard group to prepare for resistance, this only brings the man down on them with increasing violence and brutality. But the fact is that when the man becomes more oppressive, he only heightens revolutionary fervor. So if things get worse for oppressed people, they will feel the need for revolution and resistance. The people make revolution. The oppressors, by their brutal actions, cause resistance by the people. The Vanguard Party only teaches the correct methods of resistance. The complaint of the hypocrites that the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense is exposing the people to deeper suffering is an incorrect observation. By the rebellions in black communities across the country, the people have proved that they will not tolerate any more oppression by the racist dog police. They're looking now for guidance to extend and strengthen their resistance struggle. The Vanguard Party must exemplify the characteristics that make them worthy of leadership. So, do I entirely agree with and endorse this document? Absolutely not. But do I think that it has many very valuable and important lessons in it? I absolutely do. And I think that the fact that it's relevant today and the fact that it could teach a lot to these sort of adolescent Antifa people, I think that it makes it worth talking about. It makes it worth exposing to people. And, you know, again, I hope that by making this content, I'm going to be exposing this message to a greater number of people. You know, I hope that you can share this around with people who are even less politically inclined, or even less like specifically Marxist-Leninist, right? So I think that it's really important for us to do general political education, which does not simply target people who are ideologically communist as a form of critique. No, we need to educate people who maybe even know very little, right? And teach them about the dangers of adventurism and the need for organization in some sort of party structure. So this video will be one of many where I talk about different pieces of theory that inspired me to change my thinking and become more mature. This has been Hertz from Bismuth. Remember to like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, comment if you have something to add, maybe I missed something, subscribe for more, and share this video around so that other people can get the message. See you next time.